broken. You've got to call that fast, that solemn assembly. You've got to get down to business with God. And once we get down to business with God and we get serious and we mean it, then he will restore what had been eaten by the locust and the palmer worm and the cankerworm. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams. Your young men shall see visions. And also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit. Here's the key. And it shall come to pass afterward. Afterward. After all these other things. First he says you've got to do all this. Then afterward I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh. Listen. I've either been deceived or I've deceived myself. And maybe you're in the same boat. I'm just sitting around waiting for that to happen. For him to pour out his spirit on me. I'm an old man, I guess, so I would dream dreams. But I've just been sitting around waiting. But he said it won't happen till after all these other things. And I'm going to tell you something. The church in this country especially is just sitting around and waiting for God to dump it out. But he said there's something that we got to do. We are called to do something first before he's going to dump it out. I don't know how many times I've quoted that scripture. I don't know how many times I've heard it preached. I don't know how many times I've heard it taught. Where in the end time, it's just going to happen. In the end time, God's going to dump it on everybody. That's not what it said. He said afterward, after all these other things, then he will dump it out. I'm going to tell you something. I want to experience that. I want to see that. I want to be a part of that. I want to dump it on me. But he said the only way it's going to happen is if all this other stuff comes first. If we want this, we got to do the other. We got to do what he said first. And then he will dump out his spirit. Then he will send the increase. Then he will restore what has been lost, what has been taken away. Then he will do it. I'm almost done. I don't want to be offensive. I don't want to hurt feelings. I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to say anything bad. But I've got to give you what God has given me. We don't have fruit here because it hasn't been done right here. If it had been done right here, we would have fruit here. All those years that have been lost, all those years that have gone away, all those years that souls could have been saved, that people could have been set free, that all this stuff could have been happening for Christ, have been wasted. But here's the good thing. God said if we will do these other things, I'll restore all that. I will bring it back. It's still possible. It's still available. There is still time. But first we've got to do all these other things. And if we do all these other things, he said he will restore it. He will bring it back. And afterward, I will dump out my spirit on all flesh. And then, hang on. If we get to that point, when he dumps it out upon all of us, and he begins to work in all of us, and we prophesy, and we dream dreams, and we do all these things, hang on, because things are going to happen. But we got to do the other before we can get to that. We've got to get a broken heart. We've got to rend our heart. We've got to fast. We've got to weep. We've got to mourn. We've got to cry. And I'm going to tell you something. If we don't do that, nothing's going to happen. We can work and work and work within ourselves, and nothing is going to happen. We've done a lot around here physically. There's been a lot of nice things done. The building up there fixed up and cleaned up, and the grounds taken care of and fixed up and cleaned up. We're going to build Sunday school rooms over there. We did this and we did that, and we got hope to do other things. But all of that is for naught if we don't get to the place where God is calling us to go. It's for nothing. We've got to get to that place. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord is near. In the valley of decision. We've got a decision to make. As individuals and as a church, we've got a decision to make. Are we going to give it all or not? That's your choices. You can give it all or you can have this. Don't get me wrong, we have some good times here. We got good people here, we got good fellowship here, we got love here, we got all those things. But souls are going to hell. That's what matters. People are dying. People are going to hell. People you know, people I know, people you love, people I love, they're going to hell. I pray we get a vision of hell. That's what we need. We need to understand what hell really is. We've heard it for so long. It's in one ear and out the other anymore. You ought to get in there and study it, and really study it, and ask God to make it real. If we would understand the reality of hell. You know, we're a lot like the ones that talks about in the Bible where they talk about Christ coming, and there are those who say, well, where is the promise of his coming? Everything's been the same. We've gotten like that as far as hell is concerned. We talk about it, but I don't think we understand, even as Christians, the reality of it. We don't get a hold of the dreadfulness of it, the unspeakable horror of it. We don't get it. We need to get it. If we would get a hold of that, it would motivate us to do something. It would motivate us to try to keep people out of there. We have fallen so far from where we were founded. We have fallen so far from what Christ set up. We have fallen so far from that original church, and it's time to get back. Got a choice. We're at that point where we got to make a decision. We can have this, or we can have what God wants. That's our choices. And we've got to make that decision. We've got to make that choice. But I am telling you, there's not a lot of time left. I don't know when Christ is coming back. I don't know how bad it's going to get, how quick. I don't know. But I knew, though, according to the Word, we're very close. We're very close. And I do know that God said, my spirit will not always strive with man. And I do know that God has a limit with his patience, according to the Word. He said that you can get to a point where he will turn you over to a reprobate mind. Let you believe a lie and be damned. That don't mean you got to be a Satanist. That don't mean you got to be a dirty, rotten, filthy sinner. Anything that's not 100% the truth is a lie, and he will let you believe that and be damned. It also says that you can get to a point where he will send you strong delusion and let you believe it. And I'm going to tell you something. Probably most of us sitting here, if not all of us sitting here, have had years and years and years and years of God telling us and speaking to us. How long will his patience go? I don't know. And I don't want to find out. We need to heed. We need to hear the call. I want this church to be what God wants it to be. I want to be what God wants me to be. And God has shown us how we can be that. We've got to be broken. We need to be broken. We need our hearts rent. We need to hurt. We need to ache. We need to do what he said. We need to howl. We need to weep. We need to mourn. We need to cry out to God to get back to that place. And if we will do that, then God will deliver on his promises. He'll restore what was lost. He'll bring back what was lost. And afterward, he will pour out of his Spirit upon all flesh. That's our choice. That's what we got. That's what we're dealing with. Listen. You hear me say this all the time, and I hate to say it, but it's the truth. Because I'm afraid it's going to get to a point where you're going to think he just says that. This is not the message I have. It's not the message I have prepared. God gave me that here, sitting up there. God don't do these things for no reason. We need to start taking heed. We've been in church for so long. And we've heard pastors for so long, and preachers, and evangelists, and the guy from down south, and the guy from up north. We've heard for so long, if you don't do something now, you may not get another chance. But hey, I got another chance. And that's happened so many times, we just let things go. One time will be the last one, I guarantee you. One chance. How do you know this ain't it? You don't. We need to heed. And whether or not you know it is, or you don't know it is your last chance, you should have a desire to want to do what God has called you to do, to want to be what God has called you to be. That should be your desire. And I'll say this, if that's not your desire, then something's wrong. And you better get on that altar and you better find out what's wrong. I'll stop. That's what God's given me. I pray.